All right, folks, gather round, because today we've got a serious chat about the Rangers, the future of the club, and a few names that have been making the rounds in the media lately. Now, it's not every day we get a proper shakeup, but when the rumors start flying about who could be the next gaffer, you can bet the whole of Glasgow's paying attention. And topping those headlines right now is none other than Davide Ancelotti. Yes, the son of that Ancelotti, the living legend himself, Carlo. Now, imagine for a second if it was actually Carlo Ancelotti taking over at Rangers. That would be a dream, wouldn't it? The man's about to lead Brazil, for crying out loud. He's been at the top of the game for decades, played in that iconic AC Milan side with the likes of Baresi, Maldini, Gullit, and Van Basten. The man breathes football royalty. He's coached Milan, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, you name it. So having his son in line for the Rangers job, that's bound to get people talking. Davide might not have the same glittering playing career as his old man, but don't let that fool you. He's been right there in the trenches learning from the best. Started off as a fitness coach at Paris Saint-Germain, followed his dad to Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Napoli, and back to Madrid again. We're not talking about a guy who's learning on the fly here. He's been absorbing top-level football every single day, working with world-class players, handling the pressure, the expectations, the tactics, everything. But before we dive deeper into Davide's credentials, we need to touch on another name that refuses to stay out of the conversation. Barry Ferguson. Now, Barry's a Rangers legend, no doubt about that. Nobody's taking away what he's done for the club as a player, but as a manager, that's where things get messy. Recently, Barry's been voicing his frustration, claiming he's not getting the respect he deserves, and that if he were a foreign manager, maybe people would treat him differently. Let me be very clear here. This isn't about nationality. It's about results. Look, I get it. Barry's passionate. He loves the club, but football is a ruthless business. His managerial record simply doesn't stack up. A win percentage of 32% at his last gig. Overall career percentage hovering around 42%. That's not the level Rangers should be aiming for. It's harsh, but it's the truth. Fans expect the team to dominate, to win consistently, to challenge for titles. And when that's not happening, the criticism comes no matter who you are. I know some fans are sensitive when it comes to Barry. You point out the facts and suddenly you're the villain. But we can't sugarcoat it. It's not about personal attacks. It's about whether he's shown enough as a manager to be trusted with one of the biggest jobs in Scottish football. And frankly, the answer so far is no. Now Barry's argument about respect feels more like desperation than anything else. It's like that kid on Christmas Eve demanding a unicorn. The reality is, no matter how loud you shout, no unicorn's gonna show up under the tree. The same applies here. Demanding respect isn't how you earn it. Results are, and history shows Rangers fans aren't shy about criticizing poor performances, whether the manager's Scottish, Belgian, Portuguese, French, doesn't matter. Let's not forget how Philippe Clement was treated towards the end, or how much stick Michael Bill got. Even Giovanni van Bronckhorst, despite bringing some success, faced heavy criticism. So Barry's notion that it's some kind of anti-Scottish bias simply doesn't hold water. The fans want the best for the club, plain and simple. Now shifting back to the current favorites for the job, Davide Ancelotti leads the pack. His odds have shortened dramatically while Barry's have drifted far out. Names like Steven Gerrard are also floating around, with Russell Martin, Danny Röhl, and Marco Rose in the mix too. But realistically, it feels like the focus is on that top tier of candidates. Guys with serious coaching pedigrees, or at least the potential to grow into the role at a high level. Davide's case is particularly fascinating. You see, football is changing. Gone are the days when only ex-players could be considered for top managerial positions. Look at Jose Mourinho. Started as a translator, became one of the greatest managers ever. Look at Will Still, who's made waves despite his young age and unconventional path. Even Graham Potter, who didn't have a stellar playing career, proved his worth through coaching excellence. Davide Ancelotti retired from playing at just 20 years old to focus on management. He's not riding on his father's coattails. He's taken the hard route, got his sports science degree by 20, earned his UEFA coaching badges, and worked relentlessly at top clubs. From PSG to Real Madrid, Bayern to Napoli, that's an education money can't buy. His strength lies in his tactical acumen, particularly with set pieces and team structure. Reports from Spain even dubbed him Real Madrid's secret weapon. This isn't just a PR move. This is a guy who's been integral in shaping how some of the best teams in the world play, working with elite players like Luka Modric Tony, Cruz Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham. It sharpens your football brain in ways that managing a lower league team in Scotland simply doesn't. Critics will argue he's never been a head coach. Fair point. But every top manager has to start somewhere. The question is whether Rangers are willing to take that calculated risk, and from where I'm standing, it could be an inspired choice. Football is littered with examples of assistants who stepped up and excelled. The key is whether the club wants to go for potential and fresh ideas or stick with the familiar. Let's also talk about his adaptability. He's worked in France, Germany, Spain, England, and Italy. The man's been immersed in different footballing cultures, learned from diverse philosophies, and adapted to varying levels of pressure. If anything, that international experience could be a massive asset for a club like Rangers, which needs to bridge domestic dominance with European competitiveness. And let's not pretend Scottish football is this wild, unique beast that nobody else can handle. The physicality, the intensity, these are present in England too. If Davide can handle the cauldron of a Merseyside derby or the pressure of El Clasico, there's no reason to think he'd be overwhelmed by an Old Firm clash. He already holds his UEFA Pro license, finishing top of his class. That speaks volumes. We're not talking about some random coach parachuted in because of his last name. He's earned his stripes. The fact that he's been described as a master tactician, particularly in modern systems, is exactly what Rangers might need right now. Let's be honest, this past season has been a disaster. The club needs fresh ideas, new energy, and someone who understands how to build a cohesive unit on and off the pitch. Davide could very well be that man. Sure, it's a gamble, but is it really any bigger a gamble than reappointing someone who's already failed to prove themselves? I'd argue not. And no, it doesn't need to be a Rangers man or a Scottish manager. That mindset is holding the club back. What matters is getting the best person for the job, someone who can command respect through their work, through results, through progress. Whether they're Italian, Belgian, Martian, it shouldn't matter. Davide Ancelotti represents a modern approach. Someone who's grown up with football in his blood, trained at the highest level, and is ready to step into the spotlight. Yes, there will be pressure. Yes, the expectations will be sky high. But that's always the case at a club like Rangers. The question is, do we want to keep repeating the same mistakes, or are we ready to embrace something new? From my perspective, this could be the perfect opportunity for both Davide and the club. A fresh start, a new chapter after a season to forget. Bringing in a young, hungry manager with a modern outlook could be exactly what's needed to reignite the club's ambitions. That's where we're at right now, folks. The rumors are heating up, the conversations are getting louder, and soon enough the decision will have to be made. Whether it's Davide Ancelotti or one of the other candidates, one thing's for certain, the Rangers' job isn't for the faint-hearted. But maybe, just maybe, it's time to take a bold step forward. But you know what really gets me in these conversations? The fear of trying something different. Every time a new name pops up, especially someone without that Rangers DNA, there's a portion of the fan base that recoils. He doesn't know Scottish football. He's not one of us. He won't get the passion. But let's be brutally honest here. Passion alone doesn't win you leagues or cups. Tactical news preparation, man management, recruitment, that's what builds success. Look at what happened with managers like Steven Gerrard. Before he came to Rangers, people said the same thing. He's unproven, no experience as a first-team manager. And yet he delivered. He brought back standards, stopped Celtic's run, restored pride. He built a team that was hard to beat. Now, Gerrard's name is in the mix again, but I'd argue the club needs to keep evolving, not going back to old ideas. Davide Ancelotti brings something different. He's part of this new generation of coaches who understand that football isn't just about shouting on the touchline. It's about meticulous planning, video analysis, fitness science, psychological preparation. This is the modern game. Rangers need to embrace that if they want to compete not just domestically, but in Europe too. Some fans also point at his surname and roll their eyes thinking he's only here because of his father. But if anything, being Carlo Ancelotti's son probably made his path harder. Expectations are sky high. Every mistake is magnified. Yet despite that, Davide has carved out his own space, respected by players and staff at some of the biggest clubs in the world. That doesn't happen by accident. He's been in dressing rooms filled with superstars. He's seen how elite teams operate daily. Working alongside his father at Real Madrid, Bayern, Napoli, you pick up things. You learn how to handle egos, how to prepare for big nights in Europe. And let's face it, the pressure of managing Rangers is intense, but so is being part of Real, Madrid's inner circle. If he can survive that furnace, he's got the temperament for Glasgow, no doubt about it. People also forget that sometimes fresh eyes are exactly what a club needs. Someone who isn't bogged down by the weight of local rivalries, who can see the bigger picture, implement new ideas without a baggage. Rangers have been stuck in cycles before. Bringing in a progressive mind like Ancelotti's could be the shakeup that disrupts that stagnation. Of course, there are other names on the list. Danny Rowe, for example, is another exciting option. Did a solid job at Sheffield Wednesday with limited resources. Marco Rose is well respected in Germany, known for his attacking football and ability to develop young players. But when you stack up the experience of working at clubs like Real Madrid, Bayern, Napoli, even PSG, Davide CV becomes hard to ignore despite his age. And age shouldn't be a disqualifier. Football's moving fast. Look around Europe, you'll see young coaches thriving because they bring energy, innovation, and a hunger to prove themselves. That's a powerful combination, especially for a club looking to rebuild. Davide fits that mold perfectly. Now, let's not kid ourselves. This would be a gamble. Any managerial appointment is. But is it any riskier than bringing back someone who's already had their shot and failed? Or appointing a so-called safe pair of hands who won't move the needle? I'd argue it's a smarter gamble, one with a higher ceiling for success. There's also the matter of recruitment. A young, well-connected manager like Davide could open doors in the transfer market. Loans from top clubs, contacts across Europe, and understanding of modern scouting networks. These are assets Rangers need to tap into. Scottish football can be a bit insular at times. Having someone with a global perspective could be a real game changer. And we haven't even touched on his work ethic. This isn't a guy who's cruising on his family name. He got his UEFA Pro license ahead of schedule, topping his class. That shows dedication. He's not here for a vanity project. He's here to build something of his own. As for the concerns about him never managing in Scotland, that feels overblown. The fundamentals of football don't change because you cross the border. Yes, the league has its quirks. Yes, the media pressure is unique. But he's seen worse. The key is surrounding himself with the right staff people who know the local scene, blending his knowledge with that of seasoned Scottish football minds. That's how you bridge any gap. For me, the real question is, do Rangers want to keep playing it safe? Or are they ready to bet on something bold? The supporters are tired of mediocrity. They want a team that can not only challenge Celtic domestically, but also hold its own in Europe. That requires ambition. That requires vision. Davide Ancelotti represents that. He's young, hungry, tactically sharp, and has been molded in elite environments. He's not weighed down by sentimental attachments, but respects the weight of a club's history. He understands expectations because he's lived with them his entire life. And look, if you want to dismiss him because of his surname, that's your choice. But you'd be ignoring a serious coaching prospect, someone who's paid his dues in the background and is now ready to step into the spotlight. If this appointment happens, it would signal a new direction for Rangers. A club willing to embrace modern football, to innovate, to compete on a higher level. It wouldn't be a decision based on nostalgia or comfort, but on a clear-eyed assessment of where the club needs to go. So here's the bottom line. Davide Ancelotti might not have been the obvious choice a few months ago, but the more you look into his credentials, his experience, and his potential, the more it makes sense. This could be the fresh start Rangers desperately need. The fans want success. They want passion, pride, silverware. But that only comes with a proper plan with the right people in charge. David might just be that person. Yes, there are other candidates. Yes, the club should do its due diligence. But dismissing him outright because of his age or surname, that would be short-sighted. Football is about taking calculated risks. Sometimes those risks pay off in ways you never imagined. Davide Ancelotti, the Rangers, might just be one of those moments. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Glasgow, Scotland. A storm brews over Ibrox this evening as strong rumours circulate that Rangers have parted ways with their head coach Barry Ferguson. Though no official confirmation has yet been issued by the club, reports from sources close to the club suggest that the former Rangers legend has been relieved of his duties following a string of disappointing performances. Ferguson, a celebrated figure among the Gers faithful for his days as captain, took the managerial helm with great expectations. His appointment was heralded as a homecoming for a club icon, with hopes high that his passion and deep-rooted connection to Rangers would spark a revival. However, the reality has proven far more turbulent. Under his tenure, results on the pitch have been mixed at best, with recent losses raising questions about his tactical acumen and ability to rally the squad in high-pressure fixtures. The timing of the rumored dismissal has caught many by surprise, with some insiders suggesting internal disagreements behind the scenes may have played a part. Others believe the board simply felt compelled to act to salvage the season before it's too late, especially with rivals Celtic enjoying a strong campaign. Supporters have been left divided, while some still back Ferguson and cite a lack of time and backing. Others argue that sentiment cannot outweigh the club's need for results. The situation at Ibrox has grown increasingly tense in recent weeks, with vocal sections of the fan base calling for change after the club's most recent setback in the league. If the reports are true, the club now faces the urgent task of finding a replacement capable of steadying the ship and reasserting Rangers' presence at the top of Scottish football. Names are already being floated, with speculation mounting over potential candidates from both within and beyond Scotland. For now, the blue side of Glasgow waits anxiously for an official word. One thing is certain: should Barry Ferguson's departure be confirmed, it would mark a dramatic chapter in Rangers' recent history, ending a tenure that began with hope and passion, but may now close under the cloud of unrealized promise. Greetings, fans! Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comment section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.